Hey everyone, Brett Kelly here for another Tuesday Tech Tip at 45 Drives. This week we're taking it back to the tech tips. Enough of news and opinions and all that stuff. No, that's good too, but we're going to do a good tip this week. With the news, I believe 2 weeks ago, whenever that video went out, when we said what we were doing in terms of what operating systems we were going to support moving forward, we got overwhelming feedback on that, mostly very positive, so good to see that we made a decision that other people agreed with. So what we're going over today is we're going to do a good old screen cap. I have got over in my rack in my other building a Storinator with some drives in it and a fresh Ubuntu and Houston packages installed, much like a customer like yourself or a user would get when you buy from us. And we're going to take it from the login screen. We're going to set up our networking. We're going to build a Z pool. We're going to join a domain, my active directory domain I have over there. Create a Samba share, connect to it, and really just kind of showcase how we can do this whole thing in the Houston UI. Yes, we'll have to go to the terminal here and there, but it's all contained within the UI. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so let's go through our Windows Share config. So again, remember what we're going to do. We're going to log in here. We're going to verify all our disks are present. We're going to join our domain. We're going to make our Z pool. We're going to create a data set or a share, and we're going to connect to it on this Windows machine that is also joined to the domain, and well, that'll be it. So let's get into it. So jumping in the login screen here, we're going to log into the Houston Command Center. So we hit the landing page here. This is a quick glance at everything. You can see this bar that's turning is checking for package updates. Should we have any services that failed, it would tell us immediately in here. CPU memory usage, your serial number of your server, the model of your server, and host name, system time, domain, everything over here. But anyway, I'm not doing domain first. First thing we wanted to do, see, now we have some security updates, but that's not going to affect our demo here, so we're going to leave those for now. I want to make sure all my disks are present. So I've installed 10 disks into this system, 14 terabytes before I headed over. So this is over in our other building, racked up. So what you're looking at right now is as if you were physically at your server, I don't know, looking down at the drives. If you click one of the drives here, it tells you some information about it. It tells you where it is in the Storinator server and some other useful information. What's its health? That's watched by Smart Control, temperature, model number, all that fun stuff, right? Anyway, so 1-1 through to 1-10, all 10 of my disks are here. Perfect. Let's go back to the overview. So I want to join a domain. So to join my Windows Active Directory, I need to make sure that my server can contact my Windows directory, right? So to do that, because this is a lab AD, our main network does not get the DNS information right. So most times in the customer's environment, they are already pre-configured that way. So as you can see, one of my interfaces in the networking tab is configured for DHCP. It's already got an address. But I need to change the DNS. So what I'm going to do is go into the interface, ENO2, IPv4, and I'm going to edit it. So we're fine with DHCP for now. If you needed to go to a static address, you'd pick manual and go from there. But I'm going to uncheck these. I'm going to say plus, and I'm going to 192.168.16.40, which is my lab AD. Oh, don't check that. And then our domain is 45lab.local. And we're going to hit apply. So just for my own sanity, let's make sure I still have internet connection. Okay, that's good. And I'm just going to ping something else in my network, make sure I didn't break anything else before I continue. Okay, good. I don't know about you guys, but I like to run commands just to check my sanity. if you remember from writing tests, everyone knows 2 + 2 is 4, but not when you're writing a test. You put that in your calculator 3 times. Anyway, so networking. We're done with networking. We can go back out of here. Obviously, out of the scope of this video right now, but if you want to add bonds, VLANs, everything, it can all be done in this screen. So we'll go back to our overview. And what we're going to do is join our domain. So before we do that, I just want to back up the Samba configuration that's there already. This is a fresh installation, so this is not necessary. But say you're moving from somewhere else, or you've already got Samba configured or anything like this. Joining this domain will rewrite this file. So let's just back it up and make sure we have an extra copy of it, should we need something out of it. So that'll do that. We're going to go back to Overview. I'm going to select Join Domain. I'm going to put the domain address here. You can put the IP. You can put the full qualified domain name of your domain, or you can literally just put the domain name 45.local. You get a little green contacted domain if it did it, and if you spelt it wrong or did it wrong, it'll have a hard time contacting you. So that's a nice little check there. I'm going to log in with the admin password, so I'm going to use one of my accounts I've made on here and hit join. So this will quietly think in the background for a minute, and while it does that, I'll tell you a joke. No, I'm just kidding. Here we are. We've joined, and it just says 45lab.local. Just for verification's sake, we want to make sure that it joins using the systems or the service called Winbind. That's a requirement for making the kind of remote access into your Samba shares feasible. So you want to make sure it's Winbind. Again, it's pre-configured to do that, but it never hurts to double check, right? Okay, so we're in a domain. There's one last little change we have to do before we can access our users and groups imported from the domain. So we're going to go into the NS switch file, and we're going to remove SSS. We're going to place Winbind. We're going to put Winbind here. That's it. No restart of a service or anything like that. And then I believe we should just, if I'm lucky, should just be able to query my user this way. Yeah, and there it is. So that's my domain user. I can query other people in my domain, and I believe I can even do groups. Please don't make me a liar. Yes, see, you can do groups there too. If any of you are watching this and go, oh, geez, I won't remember how you did that NS switch change, I'm just going to go back to the overview page here, and on every screen in Cockpit, there is a help button. And in this help button, we link some useful links. So like how you get in contact with support, blah, 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 all that fun stuff. But in this case, configuring a domain join. This will open a new tab directly to our knowledge base. And Houston UI running Ubuntu, go here. And then there's a detailed rundown of everything that I just did right there. A little more too. Anyway, so that's that. You can use this as reference, or you can use those help links as reference. Anyway, so our users and groups are here. Let's move on to creating the storage pool. I clicked the wrong thing. We're going to go to ZFS and file sharing. So right away we have no storage pools found. Of course, we've got a brand new system here. So immediately we're going to hit create storage pool. We're going to give the storage pool a name. So I'm going to call it tank, which seems to be the solid default name for every Z pool. I want to make it a RAID Z2. And I'm going to use the device aliases. So the device alias is that one dash number. Remember, let's hop back to here, the disks. That matches the silk screen on your server. So you can be very sure about which disks you're grabbing for which VDEV, and it's very easy to find out which disk may have failed or whatever later on as your pool goes on. So we're going to go back to storage. Nope, sorry. We're going to go back to ZFS file sharing. If you notice too, another fun part of Cockpit, I can't say this enough, of you can just jump back and forth between modules. I can go to terminal, I can look at things, and For those coming from other web UIs that I won't name right now, they don't let you do that. So it's nice to see. So immediately I see that I'm missing some disks here, and I think that's because I had a pool on them already. So I didn't plan for this, but let's go diagnose this, because you might be using used disks already too. So what I'm going to take a look at is import storage pool. Is it going to find anything? And there they all there. So it sees a bunch of broken systems here because I have a bunch of old disks. So the quickest way to do this would probably be to import them all and force it, and then I'm going to delete them all. So again, you'd only have to do this if are in a healthy state. One storage pool is needed for import. I'm going to leave tank out for now, see if I can get these ones in. Worst case scenario, I'm just going to go wipe the disks out. No, it doesn't want those ones to happen. Okay, cancel. So again, typically you're getting fresh disks, but yeah, see, I've got a bunch of used stuff on here. Okay. Okay, so my old broken pools, which, because I literally just grabbed a bunch of disks and threw them in this server, it's not going to let me import them because I'm missing a bunch of disks. So we're gonna wipe them all a different way. We're gonna hop open to the terminal here, and as you can see, I was looking at my disks here, ls block. So there's a bunch of old Z pools on it. So we have a handy little tool, which you should only use when you really, really need to, called wipe dev. And we're just going to wipe every device in the storage space. So it'll just churn through that for a minute. And then if we look at ls block now, oh, SDE still seems to be holding on to something. So which one's SDE? SDE is that disk 1.1. So I'm just going to try to wipe that one more time. Huh, that one worked that time. Good. Good. Everyone's cleared off. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get back to the main event here. So I'm going to go back to ZFS, create storage pool. We're going to go to device alias, and 14131112 5 6 7 8 9 10. Here they all are now. So again, because I threw some old disks with partitions on them already, it was having a hard time dealing with that, so we can just wipe them in the terminal with that useful wipe dev command. Don't worry either, because someone might be going, oh my god, what if I do that by accident? Wipe dev will, if they're in use, wipe dev's not doing anything to them. See where that pool wasn't mounted or anything like that, it ripped right through. So let's get back to it. We're going to call it tank, and I'm going to build my first virtual device, my first VDEV, my first RAID Z2 out of 5 disks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5's down here. I'm going to leave all the defaults fine here, but just for show-off sake, I'm not going to save any room for the reservation. So let's create. So we'll create our storage pool. And this will spin for a minute. Let me get our green good. And there's our storage pool. 36 terabytes. Now someone at home might be going, man, you only put 5 disks in that. I thought you had 10. Great, we're going to make a second virtual device. So how you do that is you pop open over to status, so on pool tank, and at this top level device, we're going to click this, and we're going to add a virtual device. And then the same thing follows over here. We're going to go device alias, we're going to add another RAID Z2, and I'm going to put the remaining 5 disks in here. So 16, 17, 18, 19, and 110. And we're going to hit add. And again, she'll spin for a minute as it adds our virtual device to the storage pool. Okay, so you get your green check there, which everyone loves to see. And take a look at this status. We have our pool tank made up of 2 RAID Z volumes of disks 1 through to 5 and 6 through to 10. Awesome. just a fun little thing. If we go back to 45 drives disks, if we now give this page a quick refresh, that'll load back. We can now see that the disk, you can quickly identify that it is a member of a RAID volume. Okay, so we've joined our domain. We've made our initial storage pool. Let's make a dataset and a share. So we're going to hit Create File System. And just to be blunt, I'm going to call it Share 1. Let's say we want it encrypted. So I'm going to say just an encryption password on there. We'll leave the default cipher. All these system attributes, yep, all these are safe to leave. Let's put a quote on it. Say we only want to put 5 terabytes on this share. And we want to enable our Samba share for this. So we're going to hit Create. So as you can see, it made our file system and it made our Samba share. Awesome. So before we can connect to it, I do have to change the permissions. What I want to do is use Windows side ACL. So what that means is, although we build and the storage is all done through here, we do an initial permission configuration, and then the rest of the permissions are just handled on the Windows side. So very convenient for everyone. So let's pop it open to the terminal for now, and we're going to set a couple values on our ZFS volume. ACL, and we're going to put it on tank, and we're going to set ACL mode equal to pass through on tank. Okay, so I forgot, it's not ACL mode, it's ACL type. No, sorry, it's ACL inherit. I really should be looking at our knowledge base article and not going from my head, but here we are. And we're going to set that on tank. So just to be sure, let's go get all tank, and then I called it share 1. This is going to get all the values, and let me just make sure that I have those set the way I wanted. So as you can see, I put it on the underlying pool, but every data set underneath had that same value inherited. So everything's perfect. So that's good. Now let's go to the actual share we created. So share 1. If we list out, there's nothing here, of course. If we list out with detail, root owns everything, and that's our permissions. So that's not quite what we want. What we want to have happen here is we want root to be the principal owner, but I want domain admins to also be allowed to change the permissions and files underneath here. So I'm going to do that. So that means do it to this directory, and there we go. So root's still the owner. 45 lab, or the domain admin group, is also there. The last thing we have to do, 770. So what that tells us is the root user, so the person administering the system, or someone with sudo access, has permission to read, write, and execute everything in this tank share 1, and domain admins. Also, anyone in the group, domain admins, so on the AD side, has permission to read, write, or execute from this directory, and no one else. The last command we need to run here is kind of the magic that makes it all work. We want to run net rpc rights grant. Ooh, it would help if I typed it correctly. Rights. So we're going to give the domain admins group the right to be a disk operator. So what that means is anyone in the domain admins group in the Windows directory has the privilege to administer the permissions on this share. And it's all done on the Windows side, so it's convenient for everyone. And then, as always, you need to give it a admin user to approve. So here we go. There we go. Same. Clear. So, rights have been given. Let's configure our share. All right, so permissions have been configured. And the directory privileges have been given out right. This is the last permission setting that we have to do underneath in the Houston UI. The rest we can do from Windows. So I'm going to pop back to my Samba share. I'm going to hit my option button, and I'm going to configure my Samba share because I just want to change a couple things. I want to put a couple values in that also allow. So we want VFS object that and map ACL inherit equals to yes. We want it browsable. We don't want it read only. We don't want anonymous access, and restart the Samba service just to make sure everything's good there. So let's hit configure. Okay. So I could go connect to my share here, but I can tell you right now it's not going to work. And why is that? Because the firewall is going to block it. So we're going to pop open back to the networking tab, and we're going to hit add services. We're going to type Samba, and hit OK, and then we're going to add that service. So if anyone's used Firewall D before, it's not too hard to do it in the command line, but if you're like me, you forget to reload it every time. This is nice, it reloads the firewall for you. So as soon as you make your change, it's active. Okay, so Samba's there. So let's point our Windows Explorer here, 68, 35, no, 32, to our Samba server. And there's share 1. And the folder's empty because there's nothing in it. I got right in because I'm in the domain. And let's see if we correctly gave me rights. Yeah, there we go. And now you have a new folder. Okay, so that's all well and good. A domain admin can get in, but can I change my permissions? So let's go to advanced in our folder properties. See Brett Kelly, me, I created the folder, domain admins group. But say I want to add another type of group. So I have a group called lab. And I want them to be able to read and execute, but I don't want them to write or anything like that. So let me hit OK. And then we hit apply. And there we go. Lab there. So my point is, at this point, you don't have to know anything about chmod, chown. You might be looking at me funny because you don't even know what those commands are. But after the initial setup and you need to change permissions, you can do the rest right from your Windows Explorer. So that concludes the end of this demo for now. We've joined our domain. We've set up a Samba share. We've wiped some disks. I think that's it. So there you have it. That's how you do Windows file sharing with Windows ACLs. Remember, manage all your permissions from the Windows side using a Storinator server and the Houston UI. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Can't wait to show you more stuff about Houston. Let us know what you want to see more about in the comments below, and I'll catch you next week.